Hey everybody, and welcome to Ages Cozy Crochet Corner, where today we're going to be working on the Twisted Granny sweater. I totally love this sweater. It's a very simple piece with using three large granny squares, but it gives you this beautiful sweater, like shrug-like thing, um, and it's just fabulous. Let's go straight to the table on this one where we will be working on a small size, but I also will give you the information to make a medium and a large. Okay, so let's hit the table. Okay, fam. So now we're at the table. Um, we're going to be working this lovely piece today. So I've already made three large, as you see, it's rather large, um, granny squares. Okay, so we're going to make three of these and we're going to do them all in the exact same way. Working with a 5.5 millimeter hook, and what I've done is basically use scrap yarn for these projects. The outer color, which is black, we're going to use that to work our border as well as our armholes for this. So in between, I just have all purple, light gray. This one actually is carrot, which is an orange color, and we have dark gray here, more so of like a charcoal variety, but this is dark gray, and we have aqua here, and then our black. Now, this I have the three different sizes for this. I'm gonna be working the small today. Before I start to show you the granny square, I'll put up all the rows for all the different sizes, okay? But all of them will be made in the exact same way, except for how large the this big granny squares are. And again, we'll be making three the exact same way. So if you know how to make a granny square, that's great. That's where we're going to begin everything. But the difference with this pattern and the granny squares is I'm making my granny squares with, in between each cluster of three, in between each space, I'm chaining one. So I'm even in my corners, corners we chain one anyway, and then make our cluster of three double crochets. But I'm also chaining one in between this space, make my cluster of three, then chain one, cluster of three, chain one, cluster of three, chain one, cluster of three, chain one, and you get it. So we're chaining one after we make every three double crochets. We are placing a chain in every space. So if you decide to make it without chaining that one, um, it may yield you a smaller piece, but this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to demonstrate just a few rows of making the granny square, just to make sure everyone knows how to do it and knows what I mean when I say I'm chaining one in between each cluster of three. Okay. So I'm going to bring in some of the colors that I use for this. Let's see. Start with my purple. And I'm going to start with a magic circle, wrapping my yarn around my hand like that, and pulling that through. It's just like making a knot, but not pulling it all the way. And I'm going to go in there and chain one. That chain one holds for nothing for me. I'm going to go back in there and place a double crochet. And I'm going to place two more to give me my first cluster of three double crochets. Okay, so I have three double crochets there. I'm going to chain one. I'm going to go back in and place three more double crochets. One, two, and 3. And then I'm going to chain 1. And again, 1, 2, ooh, I didn't catch that one, and 3, and chain 1. Now one last time, we're going to put one more cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and chain 1. And I'm going to pull the string on my magic circle all the way closed. Later on, when we go back, you could take this and weave this in around the middle center to make sure it's secure and tight and closed. Now I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that we made. And I'm going to chain 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now I'm going to go back into my first chain 1 space and place 2 more double crochets. Now the chain 3 that we made stands as 1 double crochet, and then we have the other 2, which gives us another cluster of 3 double crochets, and we're going to chain 1. So now into my next chain 1 space, I want to place another cluster of 3 double crochets, and we're going to chain 1. Now because once we get past this first row right here, our second row is just going to be all corners. So we're going to go right back into that same space, and we're going to put 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1. Yarning over, we're going to find our next chain 1 space, and we're going to go in there and make our cluster of 3 double crochets again. And 3, chain 1, and again we're making all corners on this row, so we're going to go back into that space so we can finish our corner off with 3 more double crochets. And chain 1. And here's our another corner. So we're going to go into that corner and we're going to place 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back in there with 3 double crochets to complete that corner. And we're going to chain 1. And now to complete this corner right here where we started, we're going to go back in here and just place 3 double crochets. And 3. And we're going to chain 1. So we're going to slip stitch into that first chain 3 that we did at the top. And chain 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to go right back into that space and place 2 more double crochets. The first double crochet being the chain 3, and which we started with. Chain 1. And now as you see, as it grows, we're going to get extra pockets. Okay, and into that pocket we're going to chain, and we're going to crochet 3 double crochets. And chain 1. Into this space, keeping our corners, and you see we have corners, keeping our corners, we will always go into our corners and place 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets. And chain 1. Now you see we have another little pocket here. We're going to go into that space and place 3 double crochets. So we're always working in clusters of 3. And we're always going to, when we're finished, chain 1. And see we have another corner. We're going to go into that corner. And we're going to place our 3 double crochets, chain 1, and back into the corner with another 3 double crochets. And chain 1. Another pocket, so we go in there with 3 double crochets, and chain 1, and corner, so our corners maintain 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets all into that corner. And chain 1. Now another pocket, and we go in there and we'll place our 3 double crochets and chain 1. And now we have to finish off our corner here from where we started and just place 3 double crochets there. And chain 1. Slip stitching into the top of the chain 3 in which we started that row with. Grab our yarn, come out, and then we're done. Okay, chain up 3 and we'll keep going all the way around. But suppose this was a color change row and you wanted to change colors. We're going to back up to here, and as we make our last double crochet and we chain 1, we go in, pull out, and pull through, and then we're going to cut this off. Okay, now where I've started here, what ended here, I want to start at the opposite end, go through here, and grab my next color. I'm just gonna, let's go with the gray. We'll use the gray. And so we're going to add yarn on here in this area. I don't want to add my yarn where I started. I want to go to a different area. I always go one over. And we're going to chain up 3. Then we're going to go in and place our other 2 double crochets to complete that cluster. Chain 1, and then as you see, as we grow, we're just going to get more pockets on every row. So this grows itself, and into each pocket we're going to put a cluster of 3. And chain 1, and our next pocket, cluster of 3, and chain 1. Now I tend to fold this piece back this way and work over it because I am going to weave in, but I want to work over it that way and place my cluster of 3 because we're now in a corner. Chain 1 and back into that corner with another cluster of 3. And chain 1. So just to look at this, as you see, for every row, our little pockets we have grown 1. Okay, and on the next row, of course, it will grow more. So as it grows, each pocket is going to get a cluster of 3 double crochet. We're going to chain 1 in between each and every cluster. And this is it. And we're going to build these depending on what size we're making. Will depend on how many rows that we are going to make. So the center being the first row, then the second row, third row, and here we were on the 4th row. And then you would keep growing it in this exact same form all the way until you get to the size, to the number for the size that you want to make. Okay, so I'm coming in with this piece, and I'm making a small today. So I'm coming in with this piece, and this is our granny square here. So we want to turn it facing us, and this is on the right side, okay? We want to turn it facing us as if it was a diamond, okay? So we want that diamond shape, and this is going to be our back piece. Our back piece is going to be shaped like a diamond. All right, so now we have our huge diamond. And what we want to do is we want to bring in, we're just going to bring in one other piece at a time, right? Now this is the right side to this piece. This is the right side to this piece. We want to put both right sides down flat, touching each other, like this. Now the first thing we're going to do to put our pieces together is we're going to start at the sides of our diamond right here at the connecting center points, one being here and one being here right in the corner. I'm gonna place my hook there so you can see, and we're going to join it from here all the way up to the point here, connecting it with the corner. Okay, so we're going to go corner, corner, and connection. And how we're going to do that is taking our outer color, which for me is black. I'm going to add my yarn, onto that corner, and I'm going to go back in and make a single crochet. Now we're going to match, and I know this is black, but we're going to match the first stitch here with the first stitch in that cluster in the back. So these are identical pieces. So we have a cluster of 3 in the back and a cluster of 3 in the front. Now we've just gone through the first one in that cluster, and now we want to go through the second ones both at the same time, matching them. And now the third one in that cluster, and we want to match it with the third one here and make a single crochet. So once we have matched that first cluster, We have to remember we put a chain one space in between each one of our clusters. So we must go through the whole center right there in that big wide center, and we're going to place a single crochet there. All right, now we'll continue with our clusters. We're going to go through the first one in that cluster and the first one in the back and match them together with a single crochet. And we will go through the second one in that cluster with the second one in the back, matching them up, and place a single crochet. We will then go through the third one in that cluster and the third one in the back cluster and match them up with a single crochet. And now for that chain space, we're going to go right through that big space here and place a single crochet. And again, next set of clusters, we're going to go through the first one in the front and the first one in the back and place a single crochet. And the second one in the front, the second one in the back, and place a single crochet. And the third one in the front with the third one in the back and place a single crochet. And our chain one space, we're going to go in to that large space and make a single crochet. Now that is going to be how we're going to go down this whole row, just to the point at the top of our diamond, and join these together. Okay, so we are ending that joining section on that side right here in the middle of that corner. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving enough for me to weave in these ends nicely later. And we're going to, well, wait a minute. Let me pull this through. Just simply pull it through. Pull it tight. And now if we were to open this up, we now have, this being the middle of our diamond, we now have the join here. Okay, so again, keeping with the middle of our diamond, I'm going to bring in the last piece. Now this is the front side of this piece. I am going to place the front side of the piece touching the front side of this, so I should have the back side of the piece facing me. And we're going to add this on, and you see this is our first diamond in the center. We're going to add that on right there. Now this is going to go through the center of that corner with the center of the corner here where we left off that last, where we ended that last join. And that is where we'll begin. And now we'll go from here all the way down this line, joining these till we get to the next corner, and then we'll end off there. So go ahead and join your piece from here all the way down here, and then we'll open it up. Okay, so I have just ended off opposite this corner right here, and I'm going to cut my yarn here. And pull that through. Now you see we still have our point here, and then if we open this up, we see that this is our back piece, which is going to be the diamond center, and we have either piece added only on one line, from one corner to the other, from one corner to the other on the back. Okay, let me show you this. From one corner here all the way here, and from one corner here all the way here. So we only have that added on one side. Okay, so now that we have where our head and our header is going to go at the point of the diamond. So now I'm going to close this side off. It's getting kind of slippery. I'm going to close this side off. The other side is left open. So I'm just closing one end. I want to make sure it's even. Okay, so now we had it like this where all three sides were open. We're just going to close one side. Okay, so it should be laying flush together with the center diamond. And this is the outer side of it. Now we're going to take and we're going to leave off an opening for rose for our arm. Okay, so I'm going to look at this, and you can decide differently, but I'm going to look at this, and this is where my corner is, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I believe 5 is good enough for me to leave open for my arm. Now if you choose to go less or more than that, that is going to be fine, but I'm going to block off those 5 for my armhole. So that means from here all the way to this corner, we now need to close. So we'll start the close in the corner, and we'll go all the way till we get to right before the 5th cluster. Okay, so we're going to block off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to work the closure between here, this corner, and here. Okay, so we're going to close that off, and I'm going to spin this around a little bit. We're going to close this off in the same way we closed off and joined together the one sides. Adding our yarn on. And going in the first cluster from the first one to the second one to the third one, all with single crochets, and inside the large opening for the chain 1 space. Now we'll do that all the way from here until we get to the chain 1 space on our 5th, before our 5th cluster. Okay, so we have gotten to the the chain 1 space right before the 5th cluster. Okay, so we have 5 clusters open for our arm, and we started in the corner. So I'm gonna cut this off here. We'll weave those in later, and I'm just gonna pull this all the way through. Now when I open up, let's go back to the point. We're back to our diamond shape. When I open up this diamond side, of course I cannot open it up all the way because we have joined that together. And we have our pocket. I just want to put a pocket on this thing. We have our armhole right here. So we cannot open that up all the way because we have joined that now down. So we're going to fold that back over. So now the area over here, which we have not worked in and left that up, we're going to now fold this over. So we're still looking at our diamond shape. We have the other half folded over. Now, we want to do the same thing on this side as we have done on the other side that we just did, and we want to block off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to end here, but we're going to begin at the bottom. So now that we started the opposite side at the point, the bottom of our diamond, we're going to now start this side, corner to corner on our bottom diamond, okay? And we're going to start here. Now both, just like at the top of our diamond, both of the pieces, let's see, both halves are locked into the top of that diamond. Now, both halves, opening up this half, both halves will be locked into the bottom of that diamond, okay? So now that diamond is going to be connected on, except for our arm spots, to where we left off, will be connected totally. So for this side, we're going to work in the same hole which we started for the other side, and we're going to join our yarn there. And we're going to work that down, matching up the sides, up this side, all the way until we get to our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That chain 1 space right before our 5. So we're going to go from here, the bottom of the diamond, here to here. Okay, so I have now come to where my armhole is, my right before the 5th cluster. I stopped in the chain 1 space. I'm going to cut my yarn off, and I'm going to pull that through. So now we're still on the wrong side, and let's look at our diamond. So the back piece is the center diamond, and you see first we joined, both pieces are going through the top of the diamond, and we joint them all along the sides, right? And then we left space for our armhole, and then we joint them here, right? So if we look at our diamond, we have, which is the back piece, we have both pieces coming from the bottom, and we should have both pieces coming from the top, with our armholes here and here. So now you see how we get our sweater. So technically that's all done. So we're going to put this on the right side now. Let's find our armholes and pull them forward. I'm just going to totally turn this around and now lay it on its back. So you see this is our neck hole here. And the bottom is here with the diamond here. Just like that. All right. So now the only thing we have to do is create a border. We're going to create a border all around this area. We're going to start from here, the bottom of the diamond, working on the right side, which will be here. And we're going to put 1 row of single crochets all the way around that open space. So once you start here, you're going to keep going until you come all the way back. You see this? All the way around that neck, the top of the diamond, all the way, all the way, all the way. Hit that corner, turn. Now when we get to corners, we will be making corners as corners. all the way back around here. And we're going to add some rows there. But before we do that, I think we'll establish an arm so you can get the idea of how that's going to flow. We will not be putting as much around here, around our neckline and everything, than as we will be here. But we're going to start here so I can show you how to establish these rows. All right, so we're going to work with one of the arms. Now remember, our piece now is on its right side, and we're going to use the color, the last color we used here. Okay, so now again, looking at our armhole, we're going to get our color. Mine happens to be the black, and we're going to add that on. So I am choosing, and you see this is the joint area in which we joint this part together. I am going to go to the bottom of my joint area, and that is where I'm going to begin. I'm going to add my yarn on and go back in and place a double crochet in this area. And then I'm going to go all around this piece with double crochets. Now we're in the chain one space we want to go in there and place a double crochet. And over our cluster of threes, we have 3 double crochets. You want to go into each double crochet with a double crochet. So our places that we're putting these stitches is in the joint area below it, into each double crochet, and into the chain one space, and place a double crochet. And we'll do that all the way around until we come back to our chain one space. Chain one space. Till we come back around to where we begin, okay? Now I've made it halfway back to a join space, and remember, we're just going to work under the join space and place a double crochet there. Okay, so now I'm coming back up to where I began. I think I have one more cluster to go over. Yes, I do. All right, now I'm can't forget my chain one space. And now I'm just going to take and slip stitch into the first double crochet that we have in that row. And chain one. So now we're going to be establishing front and back posts around these double crochets. So we're going to chain one at the beginning of each one of our rows, and then we're going to yarn over, and the first double crochet we have here, we're going to go behind it, and we're going to grab our yarn, pull up, and then we're going to work another double crochet. This pushes it forward, making it a front post. Now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go to the next double crochet that we have here, and we're going to place our hook in front of it and come out the other side. Grab our yarn, and we're going to come back through, and now we're going to make our double crochet. That pushes that stitch backwards, as you can see, front and back. And now we're going to do a front post again. We're going to go behind the next one, grab our yarn, and make a double crochet. So now what we have is a front, a back, and a front, and now we must do a back again. Go in front of it, grab our yarn, and pull through, and make another double crochet. So we're going to be doing that all the way around this arm, front and back, front and back, front and back, until we get back to the last double crochet that we made from the previous row. Okay, so I have gone all the way around doing front and back posts. Front and back posts all the way around, and as you see, it raises some and it pushes some back, raises some and pushing some back. So now that we've done that, we're just going to keep that same pattern out for the next 4 rows. So we're going to put 4 rows in total. That'll be 6 rows on this, and it's just going to be pushing it back and pulling it forward. Where we put front posts, we will put front posts. Where we put back posts, we'll put back posts. But when we come to the end, see, we've come to the end, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first front post, chain one, and then I just said we're going to keep front post. So we're going to go right back around that post and make a front post, double crochet, and we're going to go behind and in front of the back ones and keep them back posts. So the next 4 rows is just going to be maintaining what we've already begun. So I'm going to make my 4 rows, a front and back post, and come back in, and we'll move on to around the collar and along the bottoms of our piece. Okay, so don't forget, when you get to the end, we're just going to slip stitch, and I have my 6 rows. So I'm gonna cut my yarn at a decent place so we can weave in later. and pull it tight. And there we have our front and back posts on our sleeve, and that's how it's gonna look. All right, now the same thing that we just did here, we're going to do all the way around the inside part of our piece. Now, here we have where the neck will go, the top of the diamond. And we're also going to do that on the other arm. So, you know, we're not, I'll work that later. But here we have the top of the diamond. And here we have, straightening it out, the bottom. Okay, so we have a large area to work around. Now we'll work around this area doing a row of double crochet first, and then we'll come back and do front and back posts on the second row, and the third row will just be to establish that. Now I will only be putting 3 rows on the border around this large area, only 3 rows. Of course, if you decide to do more than that, you can do that, but I'm only putting 3 rows in this area. So in our beginning, and I'm going to start right here at the bottom, there are only a few points which I need to go over because we've already established how to do the border rows when we did the arm. When we begin in this area, because it's larger, because it's full with both sides, I want to place 2 double crochets in that area. So not just one. So here, the bottom of the diamond and the top where the neck will go, where that larger area, we're going to place 2. And let me get this out the way. We're just going to go around with our double crochets. And again, we're just placing 1 on top of the double crochets from the previous row, and 1 double crochet where our single crochets, our chain 1 space was. And that is pretty much it. We're going to go all the way around till we come back where we begin. So this is a long little journey all the way around this piece. Now there are some points of interest where things may shift a little, and that would be on the corner. Now we only have 2 corner points here and there. The other corners are attached to our neckline, and in here, like I said, we'll do 2 double crochets right here at the top of our neck because that space is so wide. And our other corners are already attached here, so we'll just keep working all the way around that 1 stitch in each space. The only thing that's going to change or be different is our corners. And like I said, we have 2 of those. So I'm going to work till I get to my first corner, and then I'm going to come in and make sure you know what to do when you get 2 corners. Now, I am coming up, doing my border around the bottom and all around the neckline. And I am coming up on my first corner. Now, again, I should only have 2 corners, 1 here and 1 here. Everything else is all the other corners are sewn down into joins. And when I come up on this corner here, I want to go around in every stitch just like we have been doing. When I get to the corner, though, I want to go into the corner and make another corner. So I'm going into that corner 3 times, chain 1, and I'm going back into it 3 times. So like I said, we only have 2 corners, and then we're going to keep going right into the stitches on top. We only have 2 corners, one here and one on the opposite side. And when we get to that corner, we're going to just make another corner in there, and then go right back into going in our stitches individually and placing 1 double crochet. So I feel like I have gone over all the points around this larger portion of what to expect. We're just going to keep going on in every single stitch. When we get to the top of our diamond, that large space, we'll put 2 double crochet in there, and then keep coming right on around with 1 and double crochet in every stitch in every chain 1 space. And when we get to our next corner on the opposite side, we'll place another corner into that corner and come on right back around to where we begin. And then remember, we're just doing 2 more rows with front and back posts for this border, unless you feel like you want to make more, but we'll just be putting 2. It's just gonna look like that all the way around. So I'm gonna go ahead and complete this border till it's in. If you have any questions on how to establish your front and back posts from here, then we can go back to the section on our arm when we establish our arms, front and back posts, and look at that again. You're going to start first with the front one and then do the back one. So any questions, we can go there and get that information from there. Okay, I am on my front and back rows, post rows. I've just established them. And I wanted to come in and mention that when we go around the corners, and remember we only have 2 corners, when we go around the corner area, we will just continue to do front and back posts in with every double crochet. We will not be working in the corner for this row and any row after this for our front and back posts around the corners. Okay, so front and back posts around the corners. Just go in around every double crochet and just keep on going all the way out around our corner area. So from the second row to the next row, which is the third row, we will just go right around our corners doing front and back posts. We will not be working inside the corner like we have on the previous row. And then go all the way back around. And keep going with your front and back posts. I wanted to make sure you got that with the corners and the front and back posts. So we'll just go ahead and work our front and back post rows without going into corners. Okay, so we have gone all around our piece, starting with the bottom and working all the way around, doing our rows, our 3 rows, the last ones being front and back posts, the last 2 front and back posts, and those are our corners, and you see how they round off, and our neck right here. So again, like I said, you can put more rows around there if you like, but I like to keep it simple. I like the pattern shows through really well, and our colors are super vibrant. So we're done. The last thing we do once we've completed everything else is weave in ends. All right. So we just have to weave in all our little ends like this. And I'm just going to demonstrate on one how to weave in ends, and that'll be that. So we're going to use a yarn needle, and of course this is a needle that are large enough, with a large enough eye for our yarn to pass through it. And let's not do black, let's do another color. So let's start with this color. I'm just gonna pass that through there. Now we want to work our weaving in on the color that we have. So I'm going with this aqua, and I'm just going to pass this through the aqua area a few times. Okay. I at least do 3 times, just to make sure our yarn is secure. And that one came out on that side, but that's fine. And then cut. So do another one. Just add that on there. And of course I don't want to go in the black area, because then it would show. So we want to keep same colors together, and we're just going to weave in a few times, zigzagging back and forth, just so we know that that is secure. And that's it. Just pass it back and forth, and that's it. Pull it tight, and I'm gonna cut both of these at the same time. Cut them short so you can't see, and that's it. So we're gonna go inside and outside and around our borders, and we're gonna do that with all of these little strings, and that's it. All right, so we're gonna get these all weaved in, and we're gonna try this on and see how this looks. Okay. Hey everybody, so here is our finished piece. I like it. I like how the colors combine, and they're just way pleasing to the eye. If you like this video, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you on Facebook, Instagram. At my Etsy store, I have patterns for some of the things we have covered. So I'll make sure all of those links are in the description box. Hit me in the comment section. I love it when you guys send me pictures of all the things you're doing. Even when you make pieces, I like to see you guys' color combinations. They're awesome. And until next time, you guys, see you in the corner.